Good evening, everybody. My name is David Banks, and this is my presentation for CIT 260. Excuse me, just had to cough there for a second. This is my presentation for CIT 261 Mobile Application Development. So this evening, I'm going to be going over how to create a forum and a few arrays inside a JavaScript file, or using JavaScript and HTML. So I'm going to come over here and just kind of show you my web pages I'll be going over real fast. If you want to get there, the URL is marvelcomicsuniverse.com/pricing.html, or you can go to the main web page and simply click on Buy Movies. As you can see under here, right now I've got a forum with a few different options, and so we're going to go through exactly what those options mean and how they work. So first, let's go to the code. Let's read through that a little bit. Up here is just typical HTML code. Our metadata, our title. I have the JavaScript with main/JS, which is right over here, and we'll get to that in just a minute. And we have our main.css, which is the background, the color of the font, the type of font, the color of this green part where my header is, this picture, all that, all the bells and whistles. And then the other CSS is for the actual form. I split them up because it's easier for me anyway to get that to work, so I can kind of have a separation of coding, so it makes it easier to go through and debug if I ever need to. So I've already done that obviously in this case, so we'll keep on going. This is just my list of items, which you just looked at. These clickable options right here. So we'll keep on going down. We have a couple of breaks, and we come to our first div tag, which is a wrap. If we go over here to our movies.css, we can see that the wrap tag has a lot to do with font size, padding areas, how to display the text when it's inputted, and radio button options. So all of that good stuff over there in CSS. So we come to our field set, and we are going to go through how to select a movie, select what kind of media we want, select our shipping, and then what happens when we, and then add in our information right here, our name, address, and phone number, and what happens when we click the submit button. So without further ado, let's go into the JavaScript file. I'm going to try to go through this piece by piece, and I'll go back and forth between the main/JS file and the pricing HTML. So first, we have this field set. And under that field set, we have our first label, which is this guy right here, and it's our movie selection. Under movie selection, we have our next labels, which are actually radio buttons. That's why they're named radio labels. And a radio button is simply a Boolean command at its most base level. So either you check the box by clicking it, or click the box, and fill it in with a smaller black dot, or it's blank. Those are the two options. So we'll come over here to the JavaScript file, and as we see, I've created an array with the different movie prices and the movie titles. So Iron Man 1, for instance, is 20, Iron Man 2 is 25, Iron Man 3 is 35, and Avengers is 75. These numbers are completely ambiguous. I'm not going for any realistic. I'm simply just an example. So the movie price array, we come down here, that directly ties into our function getMovieSelection. So when we come over here and look at our getMovieSelection from our movie prices, what we do is we go through the form, and we select which movie we want. So for instance, in this case, we'll do Iron Man. And when I do that and I click that, that now goes from false to true. and it displays the price, which as of right now is nothing, and we'll get to that in a little bit. There's a reason for that. So we've selected Iron Man. Now what this does is it asks if movie is checked, then it will display what movie is checked, what movie is selected. And that's what this for statement is here. It's going through each of these. So I first equals 0. So our base is 0, meaning none of them are selected. And then it goes through each iteration of selected movie, and until it finds one, it does not display it. So that's our first function. The next one, if we come back over here to our pricing HTML, the next selection that we need to make is what type of media we want. Now, if you notice, if you go through here, there's a function called calculate total that it keeps on referencing. That's over in our JavaScript file. We'll dig deeper into that later, but just know at the end what that's doing is just adding these functions together. And like I said, we'll dive a little bit more into that in just a few minutes. So our next selection that we need to make is our media type price, or sorry, media selection. So we have 3 different options: Blu-ray, digital, or DVD. If we come over to our JavaScript file, we see that Blu-ray is a $25 additional charge, digital is a $5 additional charge, and DVD is a $15 additional charge. So now that array is created, we can go down here to the get media price form, or function, excuse me, not form. Excuse me. And we do something a little bit different than we did above. We do go through the form, and instead of having to rotate through them like up here with our I++, where it goes through and asks, or it goes through to see with a Boolean statement whether or not these are true or false. Instead, what this does is it allows us to simply just click on the selected media that we want. And once that's done, it will return the media type price, which as we see comes back up to here, and ensures that the price is correct. So let's do that real fast in our example over here. We'll select the media we want. Let's say Blu-ray in this instance. So what this has now done is, because of that calculate function, or calculate total function that's referenced all throughout the HTML, we've taken the price of Iron Man and the price of Blu-ray. And let's review what those prices are really quickly. So Blu-ray is 25 and Iron Man is 20. So it took these 2 arrays and added our selection from each together using 2 different types of code. The next thing that we have, or the next 2 things, are really similar code just with different names. So the next thing we have is shipping price, if we need shipping. Now for the digital version, or the digital option, there's not technically shipping because you are renting it digitally, which means you don't need to send a physical copy. But in this case, since we've selected Blu-ray, we also need to add on our additional shipping charge, which is $5. Now this is again a Boolean statement, just like the radio button. The only difference being it is a checkbox instead of a list of different options. So really this is an embedded Boolean with a function rotating through each one, asking whether or not it's selected. This is a pure Boolean statement right here, where this is false because it's not checked, and this is true because it is checked. So if we come here, we see it right here. If include shipping, which is the variable that we've created within the shipping price function, if it is checked true, then the price is 5. Otherwise, nothing happens, and it will return that variable. Same thing with the international shipping, except the price this time is 20 instead of 5. But if it is selected and equals true, then the price is 20. All right, let's come back over here, make sure we didn't miss anything. I believe there's one more thing before we hit submit. We have our div class about our contact information. So what I've done is I've simulated what this would be like if you were to actually be purchasing this online. So when you hit the when you click the submit button, it pops up with a message saying thanks for your order. We'll come back over here and look at that because I created a function for that called submit button. So we have a window alert that says thanks for your order, and then it reloads that web page to act as if it is sending off your order somewhere else. So the very last thing we need to go over, and I said we'd get into this a little bit more later, is the calculate total. So what this does is it is twofold. One, because of its references throughout HTML, it continuously calculates the total together. The total, as you can see right here, is the total of the 4 functions that we've just previously talked about. So the total of get movie selection price, get media price, shipping price, and international shipping price. Now, if any of those are 0, it will simply just replace a 0 with whatever whatever function it is going through. So, for instance, we come back to our example. So far, Iron Man will take off. Iron Man costs $20. So Iron Man is 20 plus our Blu-ray selection, which is 25, gives our total 45. And with our shipping, it gives 50. And now we fill in our contact information and we click submit. It says thank you for your order and then reloads the page for you. So that's my presentation for this evening. That's all I have. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or put comments on this YouTube video or post some questions in our different class forums. Thank you very much and have a great night.